And we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Charlie, the War Game Chat, our monthly show on YouTube. I'm your host, Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me are my co-hosts, everybody's favorite gimp with the limp, the TheGimpyGamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
Another glorious day in core. Glad to still be alive.
It's always a good thing.
Yep.
And the wargaming wizard from Oz, Kev Sharp from the big board. How's it going, Kev?
Doing fabulous, thank you.
And we have a special guest tonight, Sexy Hexy, Jeff Fry from Hex to Hex, the content developer with a smile.
What's up?
So we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to be chatting about a whole bunch of different games. And I know we've got a new game that just came out that has drawn a lot of comments. Jeff and Kev are specifically involved in that with Arden 2, which is, that was the one thing I wanted to ask you before. We kind of did touch on it, but you didn't tell me what they call this Zocbon system with MMP. Do they have a name for it?
Zocbond.
Zocbond.
I thought it was Todd, I think, was saying it wasn't called Zocbond.
They have Zoc posts that make up Zocbond.
Yeah.
Okay.
First rule in the rule book is zones of control, Zocbond.
Yes. So it is. All right. That's what I was wondering, because I thought, we were joking around about Zoc domination instead of Zoc bonds, calling it different things. So I wasn't sure what exactly it was. But so that is the one, that's one of the ones we'll be talking about. We'll also be talking about Sisu, which is another one that Kev has had experience with. I was curious about that game because it's about the Finns, and we have friends of ours that are Finnish, and their dog is actually named Sisu. So that right away, I know it sounds silly, but it made me interested in getting the game, checking it out, because the name caught my eye. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, that doesn't look too bad. And then when Kev was posting video, and Kev's having some video issues, it looks like, when he was posting the videos, I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty bad. And what's even funnier is I was watching it on TV and my wife was saying, wow, these counters don't look very good. It's pretty bad when your wife is saying, those counters don't look really good. You didn't buy this, did you? I'm like, no.
You talking about Sisu? Yeah, sorry, I think I lost my connection for about 30 seconds. Yeah, the last 2 months have not been necessarily stellar wargaming time for me. It's always a little frustrating to put a lot of time into, I guess it was just me, huh? I put a lot of time in and then not get the return on the back end. But
yeah, no, it definitely is not good to do that. Nate, what have you been up to?
A little bit of everything. I still working on that Assault Sicily 43 series I've been doing. That is excellent series. Wolfgang really took what was good with Assault Red Horizon, and he took it to the next level. He's done an excellent job with it so far. Really liked what they've added to it. Fortifications, new vehicles, weapons, obviously way for the terrain to be altered with the cratering system that he's added in there.
That's pretty cool.
With him being German, though, the drawback is if you're doing any videos on his game and you make a mistake, he will let you know in minute detail, step by step, every mistake that you make. So now I awesome. Tell him at the start of it, like,
German engineering right there.
Yeah. If I mess up anything, Wolfgang will let you know. He's real nice about it, but he's the designer. I expect him to know. Escape from Stalingrad Z. I already got the series done on that. Got that getting ready to upload. Finally got to play Western Front Ace, which I did like, but I liked American Tank Ace better.
I did like, and the pregnant pause, but
it's not bad. It's not bad, but the combat system was a little quirky. It took a little getting used to. Have you tried it yet with the cards?
No, I'm not. I actually will be posting the Learn to Play for that either tomorrow or Thursday. So
don't get me wrong, it's not a bad game. As far as the content that they've got in it, there's a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
In that game, there's
planes,
planes,
multiple different nations.
that you can play as, lots of different awards that you can get, leveling up or siege. I mean, it's the same. It's Silent Victory. It's the Zeppelin game. It's the same style. I just thought the most innovation in that type of system was done with American Tank Ace because it was such a departure from the others. This one, the components look so similar to Silent Victory that if you don't have the plane there, you could almost be playing the same thing. Except this has the cards. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the game's bad. I like it.
Right.
It's just very similar to what they've.
How does the Tank Ace game compare to that GMT tank game? That's
Tank Duel.
Tank Duel, is it different? I know that's not solitaire, or maybe it is solitaire. I don't know. I think it's both, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how do you compare? Have you played the other one?
Yeah, I've played both Tank Duel and this one. Tank Duel is way more complex, like a whole other levels. And this isn't knocking the game. Any game that releases now, they want to include a solitaire system to say that they have one because everyone wants one. But the Tank Duel one was kind of shoehorned in. It was like, how can we make this game solitaire? It's not designed for that. It's designed for heads-up play, and it's excellent for heads-up play or multiple people playing. But for solitaire play, it is so ungodly cumbersome. The amount of steps you have.
Which one is Berticelli's game? Which one of those is
Tank Duel?
Tank Duel. Yeah, it's Tank Duel. Yeah.
Yeah, like we still need to do that. We talked about that, and I haven't. We haven't got around to that yet. Doing a big multi-game Tank Duel, something like that would be great for Tank Duel.
I think Tank Duel is. You can't compare the two of them for the fact that Tank Duel is. The way I describe Tank Duel is it's a party game for war gamers, essentially is what it is.
Yeah.
It's the type of game that you play with, like 6 or 8 guys.
Right. Group of guys. Right.
Yeah. And, at the end of the night, you're drinking whiskey and a lot of trash talking. You play cards. Everybody laughs at other people's misfortune and tanks blow up. And, it's a good time. American Tank Ace is totally solitaire. It's purpose-built solitaire only. And it gives you, he really did a great job, I think, at distilling down a feeling of being a tanker in World War II without being complex.
Right. And it gives you a career as well, I think, which is interesting. And that was, just for Gimpy, that was tanker, not the W thing, different.
Not wanker? Is that what you were going for?
That's what I was going for, yeah.
I think it's got two old trend heads on here, Tony and Mo.
That's right.
Where was I though? Oh, I still got to do
crayons.
Heroes of Normandy system. Still got that one up. The Battle of Caen. Looking forward to getting that one going. And there was something else.
Is Kirk in that one?
Shaka Khan.
Oh, and in honor of Mr. Mo, of course, we still got some
nice
battle tech that we're working on. Getting painted. A little bit of terrain. So yeah, I got a bunch of eggs in the basket. A lot of things being worked on. Good stuff. And Wardrobe mentioned the playthrough of Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, which was a good game. Definitely like that one if you're into lock and load tactical. They did excellent with that. They have everything in that box.
Yes, this is an AI generated hexie, and we've got it from our massive budget from Whiskey Charlie. No, this is actually Jeff. If you haven't noticed already. Jeff and Kev were both out on the PGA tour today, as you can see by their outfits. So they decided to jump in and join us off in there.
We're trying to class up the place a little bit,
I earned $1.50 on tour today.
There you go. What have you been up to, Jeff? What have you been working on?
Well, I finally disassembled Gettysburg 77, which I wished I hadn't, but I had stopped looking at it. I think there's a great game there. I really do. I did my stint with Ardens too. Okay, that's enough of that. I'll leave that one alone. I think there's a great system in the makes there. I really do. Some of the things they've done with that game, which I'm sure we're going to get into anyhow. And I'm sitting on Panzer battles and setting up Battle for Stalingrad right now. So
nice.
And then I'm doing this other silly ass thing some people drove me into last night.
Yes. You are now the official 4th member of the Whiskey Charlie Fire Team for 6 days in Fallujah, which we will be jumping into after the show. So
damn, 6 days, and I know I died 12 times last night. Do that math.
We all die. a lot.
Everybody dies every time. It's okay.
Yeah. Good thing is you respawn, so you get to fight on in another mission. So, but it's good fun and it's good stuff. And then
Hold on, before we get off that, just a FYI, if you are playing with Kev, don't get in front of Kev, behind Kev. Just
go ahead, Kev. Tell him, Kev. Go ahead, tell him.
It was one night.
Kev cut me down with the 249 last night.
I did cut you down last night too. Yeah. Well, you came in the door. Didn't have your flashlight on. What's a guy with a saw supposed to do? But cut.
I remember I was going up the stairs and getting ready to get this guy. I got shot as I went around the corner. I'm like, Kev, help. And he helps by taking me out.
Well, I know. But that because the bad guy stepped over you and was shooting. So what was he going to do?
Bam.
What was that going to do?
He did first aid me after he unloaded on me.
Yeah. He shot me in the face. There was no first
aid. I just let him die. I was like,
it was all black screen after that one.
Yeah. Well, the funniest was
games like Tank Duel and Fighter. Those don't appeal to me.
Really, you're not into the narrative games. Not into those narrative games at all.
I guess not. I mean, I used to have, what was it, Patton's Best from Avalon Hill, and I thought that was pretty cool, but one of the ex-wives decided that needed to be burned somewhere, so I lost that. But none of these new ones, I've never touched them.
The thing about Greg's games, though, is they're not narrative generators in the way that some of the other solitaire games are, where it's roll to see what happens. Okay, go to the next step. Roll to see what happens. Go to the next step. You're actually making decisions. Now, they're not complex decisions, but you are making decisions, and they do have an impact on what your role is going to be and what the outcome could be, which I think is fun. And it's the best part about it is you can jam through any of these missions in 15, 20 minutes. So an easy way to knock out a sword.
I like the tank games because I played one of the next ones that's coming out, the British tanks, whatever, Tank Ace, whatever it's called. And there was enough, like you said, there's enough decision making to give it some meat to it, right? You're not just sitting there being a die roller for the AI. So anything that's a solo game where you're just a die roller, and I get it's a narrative thing, I probably don't have rich enough imagination to sort of create 4 paragraphs in my head about what just happened. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
You're thinking the old school, kind of like, what was it, the B-17 Queen of the Skies? That was one of the first ones, right?
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of that game either. It's really pretty tedious, and so is
that's a roll to figure out what goes on.
Battle for Britain, same, boring. Really nothing going on there. But cool story and cool little experience. But I played it twice, and that was enough.
No, in those games there wasn't enough game. It was just roll the dice and see what happens. With like American Tank Ace, there's enough decision making. What you're shooting, who you're shooting at, what type of targets are going. There's moving, turning your turret, like everything that you would expect in a tank game is in that game. Makes it worth playing. Versus, do I die or not? Roll D6.
Well, the thing I like about Tank Ace is the way you feel like you are part of the battlefield because your tank is there, and you think about it, how are you going to fight? One guy, it's going to be like a video game, me against the entire Wehrmacht. It's like, no, you're out there, and there are other vehicles out there. They're not shooting at you necessarily. They're part of a battle. You're part of a battle. You're just concentrating on your tank in this big battle. When you shoot at them, then they're going to go, oh, you want to go, huh? Then they get involved with you. Otherwise, they may never engage you, and then you can take a shot at them and kill them if you get them on the first shot. Because they're engaged with someone else, which I think is kind of neat because then you're just that little segment of the overall battlefield. I think that's kind of cool.
Well, and there's really, in those games like that, you're not really, like the tank games, you're not necessarily maneuvering anywhere, right? I mean, you're sitting on a chart or on a board.
There's movement, but
it's a little bit of movement, right? You're kind of
forward, backwards,
closing or reversing. You're not racing down a highway doing 17 miles an hour, or whatever they do. Yeah,
and there is some terrain involved in it, like with your hull downs and stuff like that. You can do things like that by which is an abstract way of reflecting some terrain in the environment. You may not get hull down. It's not like guaranteed that you're going to get it. So that's another thing that's kind of cool. It's like you may tell your driver, "Get me in a hull down," and he's looking and looking and looking. Well, there's not enough to get you in a hull down. Well, keep fighting. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. So I did. I don't know if we went around the horn and I was just absent, but so I did have a good experience this last month. I played Battles in the East, so that was good. Got some lock and load in. Can't go wrong with that. Got the long road in, and I got most of a second scenario done of the Killing Ground. So I had some pretty good stuff going this month, besides the debacle that Sisu was, and Ardennes 2, which is, I have no issues with Ardennes 2 now that I know what's
those battles in the East, Kev. I'm just point blank. I'm just going to fire the question out there, and you can just tell me yes or no. Is it worth the price? It's
tough. Yeah, I'm not sure. Depends how many replays you are prepared to do. If I've only played one battle, so I haven't cracked the second or the first module. I played the second module first, but I'd like to go revisit Uman Pocket and see if I can come up with a different strategy now that I get the system a little bit better. And then, because it was a pretty easy German win once you get that system rolling, and then I'd like to see how it works with the Soviets being on the monster offensive 43, 44. But for $100 for one or two maps, however you want to do it, a double-sided map, and it's expensive, I think, for what you get. But production quality is high, big counters, big hexes, nice rule book, limited errata. So
look like a mounted map too, right?
It is a mounted map, yeah.
I mean, the plays good. I mean, I don't mind it, but I mean, it looks like it does. Every one of y'all that I've seen that's put something out there looks like it's been enjoyable, so to speak.
Yeah, I would say it's enjoyable. I think it's interesting for a not complex game system set at that sort of operational scale.
Yeah, the big shock for me on that was that it was Decision games, because the quality of it was really good. And Decision is so hit or miss, usually a miss, that I was pleased for Tony, because I was like, I'm glad he got to have the game out the way he wanted to.
Yeah. I don't think I would have ordered it if it hadn't been that Tony was working on it, because he's so deep in OCS, and so OCD for OCS.
He's OCD for OCS.
That you knew that he was going to pay attention to detail, and he's answered all the questions promptly and been very helpful. And it's a beautiful production. So there's that, and then it plays pretty darn well. I just don't know what the replay value is. I can't really talk to that.
Yeah, I think for the price point, I mean, the quality is great. $100 is a little high. I think the pre-order should have been like 60, and the final price should be 80 on the high end.
Yeah.
Making it 100, I think, is pushing it. Granted, there's 2 games, but it's still it's not high counter density or super complex game.
It's 2 games for the 100.
Yes.
Two battles.
Yeah.
Two battles.
2 battles. Yeah.
Oh,
so essentially, you get 2 separate maps. So I call it
that's where you're
2 battles or 2 games. But you have and they're coming out 2 at a time, 2 games at a time. You got volume 1 and 2, which I think is that one was a tough one, because for the 2 games you want people to drop $200. Again, it would have been better at a $60 price point for the pre-order, 80 for the final.
That's the thing, is right now people have to watch their gaming budget. With inflation, everything as bad as it is right now, it's really coming down to pick and choose where your game dollars are going. And I think these publishers are going to have to pay attention to that fact and really be mindful of, are they putting out a product that's worth the limited amount of gaming dollars that people have available to spend?
Yeah, exactly right. And I think they should have done a paper map. I would have been just as happy with a paper map. And I think that you could probably shave 10, I'm guessing, production or net retail price, you could probably shave $10 or $15 off for that mounted map.
Yeah.
Not that it costs $10 or $15, but just that you could shave that much off the price. And I think people still would have been happy with the big hexes and all the rest of it. Because I remember, it's funny, I played just 30 days ago, but I think it's just one map, double-sided. So it's a double-sided mounted map.
Okay. I mean, East Front, Todd and I go around and read about this all the time. He loves West Front, Early War. I love East Front, but that price point on that thing. I mean, I hear all the hubbub with people's comments about decision games and certain things and whatnot. But the one thing I got to say is that, well, all the ones that I own anyhow, their maps and counters, I think, are freaking gorgeous. All right. The boxes are decent. Some rules can be deep, rules can be easy, but I think the quality of what they're putting out there, especially in the maps, I think it looks great. And I saw these with you having and some others, but man, I could not jump that $100. There's just some other things that I wanted to get my hands on more so than that. And I hate to pass on anything that's East Front, but I still can't see it. And I wonder what their numbers were on the sales for that. I'd be curious.
Y'all do remember the Pacific exists, right?
Who?
Pacific, then Western or Eastern, right? Pacific beats out all that.
Yeah, but you got to be tactical
Hey,
for the Pacific games to be interesting.
That's what I want to see right there.
Oh, nice.
What is that? Which game is that?
Panzer Battles.
Panzer Battles.
But the thing about that is, going back real quickly, we were talking about movement and where was it? Here it is. When it comes to American Tank Ace, and we got Greg Smith to chime in. Obviously, movement is abstracted a little bit, but it's there and important. Howdy all. He designed the game, so.
You're not taking a unit and moving it across a map. You're sitting. I mean,
yes, and you're just moving, up and back.
Okay.
Individually, on a board. You're not going across hexes and things like that. So it's abstracted because it's solitaire, but those decisions on what to do are there, which I love about it.
There's actual strategy to that one because instead of, all right, like in Silent Victory, you just had at what range you were engaging the target, far, medium, or close, right? That was it, just 3 you had to worry about. Whereas American Tank Case, it actually is more in depth in the fact that you had those 5 different zones, A, B, C, D, E, F. You had to actually worry about the infantry coming up and flanking you, hitting you with bazookas and all the like. There's a lot more tactical choices to make in that game. It really did feel like those narrative games taking a step forward, trying something different.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was good. And then looks like Kev's internet borked again for a second. He's having some internet issues.
We will miss you.
He's back. He respawned quick. We got to the track in time for him. But so now we're going to step on to the Zachman, like we started to talk about. That has now, which is a good thing. I know some people one of the comments that people were making is, hey, you're basically stealing a mechanic from GMT that Mark Simonich did with his 4X series or 40 series, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And Mark Simonich himself came in and says, anything I create, anybody can use. And it's the age-old thing in war games. It's like, well, there's always going to be progression. There's always going to be an evolution in the gaming sense of things on how somebody comes up with a different way to do things, and other people will use it. And I think that's a compliment to the designer that created it. It's not a detractor.
Yeah, so there was a first hex encounter game.
Exactly.
MMP they stole the word Zoc bonds, but these and Kev, I'm sure is going to enlighten us on this. The Zoc bonds in this game are not like the Zoc bonds in Cinemas.
No, completely different.
What is a Zoc bond? Enlighten me.
So Simonich's games, it's 2 units, 1 hex apart, and you cannot, if you approach those 2 hexes, you cannot move in between the 2 units and squeeze your way through. Because they form a bond. It's like spreading out a regiment or a division or a battalion or whatever to fill the space in between. So pretty standard kind of concept. There's NATO Division Commander did it. Other games have done it. but with Simonitsch's games, it was two units can form a Zoc bond, or a unit against a river with one space between it and the river can form a Zoc bond, and you can't move through it. Otherwise, you could enter.
That makes sense.
Right. So it makes perfect sense, right? So this is different in that it's in order to move between those two units. So the whole idea of zones of control goes out the window. There's no real zones of control in Ardennes 2, so which is a core concept at the SCS system, but there's no more zones of control. But what you do, there's two posts, like Jeff said. And if you want to move between those two posts, the two units, it's +4 movement points. So it's not the same thing at all, because it's not blocking your movement, it's making the movement more expensive. So now it really depends on where you set your Zoc bonds up really matter in the Ardennes, because of the forest and the woods and the hills and the slopes and the roads and the tracks and all that sort of stuff. If you choose the Zoc bonds in the right spot and then apply barrages to it, you can really have a massive impact and slow down the Germans, or whatever the case might be. So that's the premise of it. I don't think it's stealing anything. Anyone that said that is really either A, not very smart, or B, not very well informed, or both.
Never played a game before either.
Yeah, I mean, because
games.
Yeah, I mean, look, Simonitsch said, was it Simonitsch or Herman? Simonitsch said that, he borrowed stuff from one of Herman's games for his very first design for Hannibal Rome versus Carthage. Point to point, blah, blah, blah. He used the same concept. So everyone uses everyone else's concepts. I don't think.
Using that mindset, we wouldn't have war games, because most all war games use dice.
Yeah.
So you'd be stealing the use of dice, and that kind of negates ever doing it again.
Yeah, or using
CRT.
movement points, or CRT, right? So anyway.
Well, and the Zoc bond in the Simonitsch games too. I mean, you with not being able to penetrate those, you weren't getting breakthroughs and breakouts unless you enforced your will on one of the units forming that Zoc bond. Where
exactly
here, you potentially can get a spearhead through between two units and create something. So
right, right. You can do that infiltration, but there's a cost to it, and that cost is time. And given one of the flaws that I've been thinking about with the game, I think, and it happens with a lot of Bulge games, is that it's day-long turns, and it really needs to be half-day turns. And I think that would give a more realistic sort of cadence to the game than that, because you've got these units with these massive movement rates that can run around the map and do all sorts of cool stuff. So, but that's not really what happened, right? So I think an AM/PM turn sequence would have been better, even though it would have doubled the length of the game. I think it would have made it more, I don't know, would have just felt more like the battle itself, with a little bit more of a grind and deeper attritional sort of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's just a 2 cents.
What I would be curious to see how that would play. And I'm not sure of a game off the top of my head that does that. That is using Zoc bonds mixed with a variable combat system, where you don't know the unit strengths. So now it's untried until you get up there. You don't know what these guys are going to be. Oh crap! I'm going to try to punch through this thing. I'm not getting through here. These guys are like a 9 strength.
Yeah.
And then, okay, let's risk it. Oh, they're a 3 strength. We can probably get through here in the next turn.
Yeah.
And
Right.
That'd
be pretty interesting. Yeah. Because I mean, with Simonitsch, you know everything you need to know pretty much, because the stacks are usually too high.
Yeah.
And so, you're going to get your elite bonus. So there's +1. You're going to get your armor bonus. There's another +1. You're going to get the air. That's +2, +3. So now I've got +3 column shifts, and it's only what goes up to 5 to 1 or 6 to 1 usually, or maybe 7 to 1. So if you can come in with 30, 40 factors, and that the guys don't have anything to negate those 3 things I just mentioned, then you're good to go. You can come in at 3 to 1 and then run a 6 to 1 attack. There's a lot of abstraction in Simonitsch's games. Just like with the Ardennes game is pretty abstract too.
Mm-hmm.
No unit differentiation. Everything's the same, right? But that's SCS.
Well, and I think the mix too is good with the Ardennes, because I mean, and I'm waiting for somebody to say it in comments somewhere about, you know, you're talking the Ardennes, you're talking where almost anything with a motor in it has got to stick to a road.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think throwing in that their version of Zachbahn with the increased amount of movement points to get through, because in the Ardennes, I mean, anybody that's visited there even today,
Mm-hmm.
it's a nightmare to maneuver in, and you could probably be 100 feet from somebody and pass through them, and they wouldn't even know you were there.
Yeah.
So I think the mix they created for this is really good.
Yep. Yep.
It does sound good. And,
Yep.
you know, I did, it wasn't even on my radar because Ardennes is not something I go nuts for. You know,
Right.
the bulges.
Go nuts for.
Okay, I was wondering if he's going to pick up on that, but I'm here all week. Trying to fish. But the thing about this one is having that. I don't have Ardennes 44, but I do like the way they're doing it a little differently, where they're allowing. Yeah, not a good one, huh?
I'll send it to you for free. Just give me an address. You can have it.
Because this one you can fight your way through essentially by paying for movement points. And I do like the idea that, just like with NATO, you're not going to get stuck if you can pay those points to get through.
Right.
Because now, granted, it's a little different because now you're talking highly maneuverable armies in the 80s versus 40s. But still, I don't like the idea is that Zocs just stop you dead. I like the idea of you have an ability to get through them. Although in some instances, like, again, going back to this, you know, in the 40s, World War II, Stalingrad or Ardennes, yes, it makes more sense to have that Zachbahn or even Holland 44 where it stops you because it's a defensive situation and it's also really tight terrain and things like that.
Well, and then I guess the next question would be is where would a fight, a good example of a battle where the Zachbahn being impenetrable be acceptable? I mean, you know, I'm sure there were fights on the Eastern Front during the summer months across clear and rolling hills where, you know, maybe units didn't have to be attached to each other and they could stop moving. But MMP, they've got it right, I think.
Yeah.
In this Ardennes game, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, just my opinion.
Yeah, and I think they adapted to, you know, that's one of the lovely things about the SCS system is you can just do whatever you want with it with a fresh module, looking at a fresh battle and trying to understand how you can apply things and what's the best way to apply things. My biggest beef with the game was that I went into it with the expectation that it was Dean Essick writing the rules, and he is a perfectionist when it comes to using the minimal number of words and they're exact and everything means what it says. And there were the four new rules all were kind of, from my perspective, poorly worded / a bit of a shit show when it came to actually discerning what it really meant. You know, it took a lot of questioning to dig in and understand things. And then there were some minor, like there's extra removal steps, confirmation steps in the sequence of play about, you know, this is where you remove barrages. Well, didn't you already just do that in the last step? Well, we're just making sure you don't forget. I mean,
yeah,
don't put that. No, you've just made a mistake, or you changed the game and forgot to change it, or it's redundant. And since when have you ever been redundant, Dean? So that was my problem with it. It was that I'm reading something and going, okay, I understand those words, but applying them, as we will probably get to when we talk about, you know, jumping or bugging out artillery.
Stargating.
Yeah, stargating, yeah, teleporting. And they actually use the word teleport in the rules, right? Just teleport it to where it needs to go, right? So that exactitude just wasn't there, and I was just expecting it, I guess. So that's my problem, not the game's problem.
Well, to
You
Dean's
talk
credit,
about the type of rules that when you read it, it can be read like one of two different ways,
Right.
and it's just no way to really determine the exact way that he meant.
yeah, it's kind of a little vague. Like Kevin showed me some examples today, and I was like, well, this is how I'm reading it. And he's like, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And I'm like, well, that's kind of how it reads. But, you know, the thing about Dean in his writing is there's two words to use for his rules writing: stingy and pithy, which are kind of the same thing, but not. He is going, if he can write a rule, if somebody else writes a rule in 2 sentences, he's going to be like, I'm going to write it in 1.
Yep.
I'm going to write it in 5 words.
Right.
That's, he's more exacting. So, and then credit to him, because
because it means exactly what it means.
That's it.
Yeah, well, you're going to get to that, and I'm wondering too. Okay, so I saw where you said 3 of your 4 things have been answered, but here's my question. You read the rule in the rule book, and it's completely unclear, and then the answer you were given by whoever it may be, were you able to take that answer and say, "Oh yeah, that makes sense in that written rule," or does this rule book need to be changed? Does it need to be
so I'll say, you always ask great questions, but I'll say it depends. So it depends on the rule. So the bug out rule, very specifically says one thing and leaves open the question of, or leaves open to interpretation what the rest of the rule could mean. So it says, pick up, teleport the unit a minimum of 8 hexes away from the interfering unit, and you bug it out a minimum of 8 hexes on a road. Okay, got it. A, what if I'm not on a road hex? B, what happens after 8 hexes? Can I go 9? Can I go 19? Can I go 90? Can I go 95? Can I go 11? It doesn't say, right? And it doesn't say how you get to the road. And does that count towards anything, or is it just pick it up? And the answer was, you just pick it up, you move it 8 hexes or more if you wish.
Okay.
Which is not 8 road hexes, which is not what the rule says. The rule says move it a minimum of 8 road hexes, and it doesn't say what the limit is. And usually he does. He usually will say, well, when we say a minimum, that means you can move more, but not less. And how do you get to the road?
That means that it's open-ended. If you don't say a minimum of 8, maximum of 12.
Right.
Or rule 44.
Right. Which I can point to 1,000 examples of that in TCS and BCS and OCS and all his games where it's here's the rule. Mm-hmm. Don't ask stupid questions. Just go back and read the freaking rule, because it's exactly what it needs to be, Kevin, moron. Right. So here I'm looking at it going, okay, am I really stupid? And of course, we've had a couple of wise
3.4.
Yeah, 3.4, buddy. Okay, champ. Yeah, you must have play tested once. Yeah,
you did the first one.
Yeah, I did the first one. I'm a hero. Anyway, so no, but yes is your answer.
Well, I'm just going to leave it to, what? Here's the answer. This has SCS on it, and SCS, great system. If you want ease of play to play a game and it has a decent result or reflection of what was going, awesome. SCS is great. So, but this game here, in a sense, because the scenario rules to this game are not like any of the previous SCS games. This is kind of like we got a whole new game here. So I'm just going to leave it at new game. We're going to have some boo-boos here.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's fair, and it's certainly not.
Jesus Christ.
To what? You what?
Say boo-boo. Jesus
you
Christ.
did.
You did, yeah.
You're okay, boo-boo. I got your boo-boo.
I got your boo-boo. I'm bleeding
out. Did you actually use the word teleport in the rule book, though?
Yes, sir.
No bullshit.
So Kev can answer this. What is the maximum bug out distance?
As far as you want.
Wherever you want to go. I'll tell you what. You can take it from our den to the east front in any other of the MMP games if you want to, because there's no limitation.
Well, so here's the other thing, which I just thought of now. It doesn't say the nearest. Does it say the nearest road? I don't think it does. It's
contiguous, doesn't it? Contiguous or something?
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to get to, if you're not on a road, right? So which road do I go to? I could pick one right across the other side of the map.
The night before we played, Wardrobe and I sit on just a Facebook chat.
Yeah, I watched.
And we read we did this just he and I one night.
Oh, the two of you. Okay.
Yeah, we read all the rules. We went through every rule in the playbook or the scenario book. and discussed every one of them. And I'm telling you, the conclusion that he and I originally came up with was, well, shit, guess you better keep your artillery on the road, because if they're not going anywhere.
Right. And you're right.
That's how we translated it.
Yeah.
They also use crossing the streams and pieces of blocks. But that's the thing, though. I mean, he's got something new that has been added in, and there are some gaps or ambiguities, and that right there, that whole thing right there is just the first thing I thought of with the artillery was you can gamify the hell out of that playing that game, because you can put it in the hardest terrain, the best defensible terrain, in the worst spot to ever put artillery.
Yeah.
But for the game, it's a good spot because you don't have to worry about getting it out of there. He's got, I'm just gonna, boop, boop.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, good point. Good. And I think that's the confusion, because we're talking the Ardennes in winter.
Yeah.
And you get those 155s or 105s off the road somewhere in the forest. You might not get them out, but but all in all, this system's going to be good.
Sounds like it.
They've got dropping a barrage on. There don't have to be nobody there. I mean, you could prep fire the shit out of a crossroads if you want. I'm trying to think. Have I played a game where I could do that?
No, I haven't. No.
Now, when you prep fire, like say you were at crossroads, does that affect
TCS? Yeah, it does, because once you move into that hex, you're under the effects of the barrage. So,
but, I mean, if you did it, say you did it on turn 1 and it's now turn 3, it doesn't have any terrain effects in there, like make movement tougher or anything?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't do that.
No lasting effects. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you would just avoid going through there. So it would be like an area denial is really what it would be.
Yeah. Well, but with that den, you can't.
have to.
Right?
Yeah.
You could funnel, and of course there was we also had the issue and Dean, he commented to me 3 or 4 times in the sequence of play, the barrage removal.
Yeah.
One on the start of the German turn should not even be there.
Right.
And then Todd and I ran around about this thing. Well, wait a minute. DG removal in the U.S. turn, I got to take the barrage markers off that the Germans just dropped? That's kind of stupid. They don't get to affect the Americans at all. And Dean came back and said, you have to think of the Germans' barrage as an offensive weapon only.
Right.
So you literally are using, by that statement, you fire your barrage in the German phase, you better be firing it to affect enemy units.
Yeah.
Don't drop it in an intersection, because it's not
right.
or you're not going to funnel nothing, because it's going to be gone with the removal segment.
Yeah, because it's
over.
See, so I didn't catch that, because that's interesting, because in the pre-turn phase it says barrage and DG marker removal, US and German, and then in the German turn it says barrage marker removal first thing you do, and so is that
shouldn't be there.
That shouldn't be there, right? Then the US turn it says barrage marker removal, but it doesn't say both. It just says barrage marker removal. I assumed that was.
It says, and Todd and I had to find this. I think Todd found it actually. It says for the somewhere near. I don't know if it's sitting in where it should be in the rules, but the phasing players units only. So it sounds like, because the U.S. is going to fire in the German turn. So the way I originally translate it, and I want to say it was a message I got from Dean too, that those barrages for the U.S., so all those guns shoot one time in the German phase.
Yep.
And then the U.S., and then you've got the marker removal phase, which it clearly states there. So you're going to pull all those barrage markers off, but then that artillery is going to get the barrage again, and it's going to carry over through the end of the turn. But here's my question. The only time they're affecting the Germans is for movement purposes or funneling, whatever you want to do with it, is when they get their barrage phase during right after the German barrage phase, because German movement doesn't come till after the U.S. barrages. So that's the only point in that game where you're going to use barrage to affect movement of any kind.
Yeah, it's, the thing about it is when you change something up, like they did here with an existing and tried and true system, as Dakota was saying, has an SCS been around for 30 years. It's been around decades, and you change something up, you try to incorporate something new, and there's some issues with the rules not being 100% clear, you're going to have to expect something that has been pretty much tried and true throughout every year, because it's been the same. it has been a rock solid system that has not changed much. The only thing that changes are the game specific rules, the 1, 2, 3, or 4 pages of extra rules you get.
Right.
So when you add in something like this, where you're adding a new concept in, there's going to be some, like you said, Kevin, you were pretty disappointed in the fact that knowing Geen, it should have been a lot more. There should have been a lot more clarity, and that is surprising given his track record of rules.
Right.
So maybe that's something that could be. The good thing about it is the rules are so short that they could very easily put a new rule book up. Everybody can download it and reprint it. So it's really not hard at all to add that in.
Yeah. Yeah, and the concept of DGing has kind of changed for this game as well. That's the other thing that's different. And then, as we were already talking, barraging is different as well. You used to barrage to DG someone. Now you're barraging to barrage, and it's a hex, not the units. So there's a number of different concepts in here that are they're just different, I guess, is the best way to put it. Supply is different as well.
Well, the air, the abstract, I like what they've done with the air. I like what they've done with barrage. I think most of the issues that granted, like I say, this is new. They're changing the picture of what the game, what you've always seen in all the battle books, right? Mm-hmm. But this is good. I think what they're doing here is really good. And I think where the issue is most of these rules that we're struggling with, that we've spotted something in, whether it's a typo or not, it's something that probably just needed one sentence to correct it all.
Yeah. Can you see the screen, Kev?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can see everything. I just turned my camera off to try and limit the bandwidth. I'm splashing because I seem to be hanging all the time.
Okay. Because Todd says they can use some out of supply DG markers so that you don't accidentally remove the DG markers for the units that are out of supply.
Yeah, that's interesting because you become DG'd when you go out of supply, and that's it. So you wouldn't take the DG marker off unless you were back in supply. And supply is only checked in your phase in your turn. So there's a pre-turn. It's a bit hard because we don't have the turn sequence up on the screen, but there's a DG removal phase. That's the beginning of the turn. And then supply is done for each side in its own turn. So you're going to stay DG'd until you do your supply phase, and then you would take that marker off. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Nate, you look like you want to say something.
I haven't played Ardennes 2, so I can't really speak much to it.
But yeah,
my thoughts are just that it's almost, if they had reviewers, they might be able to avoid some of these problems.
And still, all in all, and Kev, you said you made the comment in the Facebook chat to somebody. I'm gonna say the same thing. I'm sure Todd's gonna say the same thing. The game's worth getting. It's very much so worth getting.
I have no issues with it. Played out exactly how I expected it to play out. It was a battle of the Bulge. Germans run amok for 2 turns. Turn 3, 30th turns up, 3rd Armored turns up, and it's game over.
Isn't this this is the SES system, right?
Yeah.
So would this be a good place for someone to enter if they were just getting started in the SES system?
Nope.
Where should they start then?
You mean this game? Not a good place to start.
Probably a regular SCS game, not this one.
Yeah,
Rostov's a good one.
Yeah, Rostov. I picked Rostov. Panzer Battles. Yongbor. It's not bad.
Well, SCS is the easiest out of the bunch, right? Because there's SCS, BCS, and then.
Yeah, but they're all different, sort of.
Well, I know they're different, but I think BCS is more complex than SCS, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Just conceptually.
Definitely. Yeah, SCS is good. 8 pages of rules. And then what's the biggest battle book set of rules you've seen? 2.5 pages, maybe?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 pages. I mean, you could go get the Mighty Endeavor. There's dozens. You pick a theater you're interested in and go from there.
Actually, I think I have the Mighty Endeavor on my shelf somewhere.
You could play it. It's a good little game.
Yeah, I'm going to do this Panzer Battles, then I'm going to turn around. I think I'm going to do Bastogne and give because I've never played that one either. So.
Oh yeah, Bastion's fun. Just it's yeah, it's fun. I enjoyed that because I played a couple of times with a buddy and we got deep into it, and I had just started learning about OODA loops, right? And so I was trying to apply concepts to that while I was playing, so it was fun. I have fond memories.
Fruity OODA loops.
Fruity OODA loops.
So now we'll see. Well, let's add one question here for the audience. What is everybody's favorite SCS game? And kind of spinning off of what Nate was saying when it comes to playing an SCS game, which one would you recommend to a first timer or a newer wargamer, someone who might have some experience, limited experience, but wants to get into more hex and counter games? What would you guys recommend for an SCS game? Let's see what the audience has to say. Well, there you go. Mighty Endeavor is one of the 4 games on the poll in the community tab, and which game that he is going to play next. Nice. Did you throw a stapler at him when he was trying to move his cameras?
Well,
so
I know my favorite one. My favorite SCS game is Day of Days.
Isn't that one huge?
It is.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little bit.
We discussed this all. An easy monster game.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be. That is not something you'd recommend for a newer game.
No. That's just my favorite.
The simple fact that they'd be like, "I hate this guy. I hate wargaming. Why did it take me 2 hours to set this stupid thing up? I'm never playing these games."
You see what most of the answers are right there.
That's the one about the D-Day landings, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you have the paratroopers coming in, and then you've got those dedicated lines where you have to line up troops in a specific order to come in on the beaches.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yep.
I think I had that game way back like 5-6 years ago, back when I first started the channel. And I think I started to make a video on it. And then I was like, this is a little too big for me at the moment. And I pushed it away, and I don't think I ever got back to it. Unfortunately, I think I traded it away. I might still have that. I'll have to take a look.
I can't play the 4 maps, but I played the two maps for the Commonwealth beaches, and I love it. I mean, it's granted all the SCS ones I played. I tell you, another one that goes, people just kind of bypass it because it seems to have sort of it's almost a programmed fight. Is the Rock of the Marne?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's got that cool little tank battle halfway through the end, towards the end, right?
Yeah, Day of Days, 132.
Well, gosh, I mean, look, there's Fallschirmjäger, there's Gazala, there's Africa. I mean, the new Africa one is great, but I wouldn't recommend that as a newbie. But Gazala for sure. What's the other one? Something Cauldron. And then there's the Fallschirmjäger one, 1940. That's pretty cool if you can get it. It's expensive.
It never snows.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that.
I just saw that. I've got that on my shelf.
Dude, I would. That one sucks. That one is easy to break. Yeah.
Corellia,
that's the one.
Yeah, Corellia.
That would be a good learning one. I didn't have any fun with that game, but that would be a good learning one.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I've got so many multi-man games.
Heights of Courage, another one.
Got around to yet. I need to pull one out.
Yeah, Heights of Courage, Yom Kippur, they're both pretty good.
I haven't seen anybody yet beat. Well, anybody that's put any info out. I haven't seen anybody beat Autumn for Barbarossa yet from the German side.
For which one? What?
Autumn for Barbarossa from the German side, the Smolensk.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody completely cut that or close that circle.
The problem with that game for me is that the second half of the game, the way they balance it out to get the historical, and I say historical result in air quotes, because there's not a lot of historical results come out of SCS games, but you get this massive influx of Soviet air, and it's 1941, it's Smolensk, and there really wasn't any that I'm aware of, and the Germans air goes way down and the Russian air goes way up, so you get 2d6 worth of air every turn, and that's just a massive game changer for because it's DGing all the Germans, and so it slows them down. I was not a fan of that. We played it 2-3 times, didn't like it.
I'm just looking at it right now. Like I was eyeballing some of the components on it. It's like Day of Days, $132 versus like Arden 2 for $80. But the amount of components that are in Day of Days is easily what 4 or 5 times what's in.
Oh yeah.
Arden 2.
Scenarios out the butt.
Yeah. You're talking, what is it, 6, 7 maps at least that come with Day of Days, 8 counter sheets.
Yep.
And then
that's inflation for you, buddy.
That's
wait for the sale.
Day of Days was $50 last year on sale.
Yeah,
I'd buy Day of Days $50 easily. I still need to check, see if I still got it.
In another couple months, they may run another sale.
Yeah, someone gave me a copy for free. I had a free copy. I didn't play it.
Look, I'm just saying the amount of stuff and game that you get in Day of Days.
Correct.
I would say 132 is a fair asking price. With Arden 2, the amount of stuff that's in the box, I don't think 80 is a fair asking price. I think if they put it down closer to 60, that's a fair asking price.
What was the pre-order on Arden's? Was it $60?
Probably 60.
It was probably 60.
I think it's 80. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of game in Day of Days, and you don't have to set up all 4 maps. You don't have to play. I think the beach landings and the airdrops, a lot of people complain about, can't we just get a scenario past that? Well, yeah, they have them in there, but the beach landings and the airdrops they're smooth in that game.'re not really that difficult. A lot of people, somebody made a comment earlier about the artillery, the firing of naval, air, and artillery. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, come on, man. It's freaking, it's the wall there. I mean, there's guns all over the place in there, and it ships out off the coast. There's a lot of artillery. Once you get inland, though, that starts to come down a little bit.
So what we could do is, Nate was talking about Pacific. Well, guess what, Nate? Got a project for you. Come up with an SCS game that uses this new Zocbon system set in the Pacific on some island battles, and you make the infiltration easier for the Japanese at night. And then you add in the bonsai charges and all that other good stuff. And I think you might have, and then variable units too, variable unit strength. I think that would be pretty interesting. Although variable unit strength between the Japanese and the Marines would probably not vary a lot because you have fanaticism and then you have, just the whole gung-ho mentality against each other. And then the fighting would also influence how both sides fought against each other. So it wouldn't vary a lot, but you could always just vary the strengths because to represent under strength companies, things like that. So something else to look at. But I'd love to see that variable strength mixed into this Zocbon situation that SCS is doing.
Yeah, it would have to be smaller. It'd have to be, Guadalcanal or Tarawa, something like that. You wouldn't be able to do some big grand theater.
No.
Type thing for using the SES or SCS, system. But I'd play something like that.
Is there an SCS specific game?
What's that?
Did they make an SCS specific game?
No, they don't have any.
I don't think so.
Huh.
Yeah, it's all Eastern or Western Front stuff.
So there you go. And let me tell you something right now. If you're going to do that, my recommendation to you is design the game. Make sure you get in touch with a couple of content developers.
Like that, just
that way you get coverage out there.
Y'all didn't tell him what this was about, did you?
Well, no, not that. But I mean, because he was before saying, MMP doesn't contact the reviewers much. So, well, make sure you get out with a few reviewers and you get a good amount of coverage out there. Break the mold. Be the change you want to be, man.
I'm just saying that MMP has a lot of good games. They've got some good systems. They obviously put out quality products because they've been going back for decades. People obviously like their stuff. I just think they could do better if they picked a handful of people, not even that many, like 2 or 3 they wanted to work with. And I'm not even saying myself because I have barely covered any of their stuff. So I'm not even advocating for myself. I'm saying someone like Kev, he covers the shit out of their games. They should be just barking all up his ass to cover their stuff.
How do you know they're not? How do you know they're not barking up my ass?
Because you told me.
Just-
Basics there.
I don't talk about personal things like that.
We don't talk about that. That's the first rule of Whiskey Charlie Club, is to not talk about Whiskey Charlie Club. Now, Tony brings up a good point here when it comes to, we're talking about Bulge, The Last Gamble. That looks like it's going to be quite an interesting package Danny Parker's doing. You got a 120-page
what that means.
historical manual that's going to go over the history of the Bulge and everything, and a 76-page rule book and a 80-something page game book, which is going to have designer's notes and tips on how to play, examples of play, things like that. So
That's a reboot, though, right?
it's a redo, yeah. But this is his.
No.
This is going to be the swan song of what he wants to do. That's where I'm thinking that is going to be kind of a direct competitor to that.
Wow.
No, Mo. No more Compass Games bullshit. They've got too much stuff that I need to cover. I'm not trying to hate on them. I haven't even got around to this yet.
Oh, what's stopping
the
you?
whole run game they're making?
I got too much to cover. Like every time I turn around, they're releasing something else I want to cover. They just did Silent.
Get quicker.
Silent, what's it called? Silent. Brain fart. Silent War. Silent War. Yeah.
Yes.
You do a lot of the sub games, Gimp. Do you review a lot of sub games? And
Yeah, I like the sub games.
Sub games are great.
I have the first edition of Silent War, and they're like, "Oh no, second edition is so much better. You got to get this one." And I'm having to how can I justify the wife that I'm going to get the same?
Sell the first one and then get the second one.
I just told her it's a completely different game.
There you go.
Yeah, at this point, it's just lying.
So your wife is in on the TV now, watching the show, going, "That son of a bitch."
I'm gonna kill you.
They got Burning Banners. Definitely looking forward to that one. Although that one's going to be a little bit longer. But with Compass, when they do a Kickstarter, it's
coming. It's
2-3
coming.
months. Yeah, it's right around the corner. That shit's going to be in your hands.
Yeah, and Tony's bringing up another good point here. This other little game.
Iron
called
Armor.
Iron Armor.
realize that picture and his logo. You Marines might not have been there.
No.
That's Grafenberg Hohenfels in Germany.
NATO.
Yeah. Nope. Scandinavia would be over in that area, but not in Europe much. Let the Army handle that. So
if you turned us loose in Europe, we could just solve all those problems. Just send the Marines in. We'll just kick the shit out of Russia and call it a day.
I wouldn't say that right now.
The
Marine Corps is different now than it was.
Are you talking about all this new PC
Force
crap?
Design 2030 has really castrated the Corps, in my opinion.
You don't even have any tanks anymore. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I know. What
Not self-contained fighting force we once were. So
that's
different world.
I think
mission.
they're trying to weaken the military because the Marines were the tip of the spear bullshit. You could. How long could the president use us without congressional approval?
6 months.
So is it 6 months?
Yeah, I think it was 6 months.
I thought it was 90 days.
I think it was 180.
Regardless, however long he could use us, could kick the shit out of any country on the planet for 6 months, and we'll just end the war. And now, no tanks.
Well, the benefit to the Marine Corps was everywhere the Marine Corps went, it's a self-contained fighting unit. It has its own air, artillery, armor, infantry, naval gunfire, even naval aviators to add to.
You can't top this. Laser, Hellfire. Laser, Hellfire.
Oh, you can.
I spent so many months doing that shit.
Yeah.
Most dangerous weapon on the planet is a Marine and his rifle. You've known this for years.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you. After one cut me down with his 249 last night.
Wow.
Sorry, I was a cavalry scout in the Army, brother. Sorry.
Oh, so you're a speed bump. You were a speed bump.
When I'm running back.
Yeah, exactly. You're the guy that's going, oh,
hey,
shit,
there they are. Go get them.
Well, oh, shit, here they come. We'll stand there and we'll get kicked around for about, 2, 4, 6 hours if we can.
Wait that because I'm driving back by in my old 113 pointing at them.
Exactly. Then you come back with your raggedy ass running for your life as everybody else is prepped up, moved up, and ready to go. It's like, yeah.
I'll call you later. Say, are you done with it yet? So I can go back up there.
But the interesting thing is the next game, that we'll hit on real short here to keep the from going into a 2-hour show here. But Sisu was the one that Kev had gotten that we had talked about briefly at the beginning. I was interested in as well. I almost pulled the trigger, and then he said he got a copy, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about that, and I'm glad I didn't pull the trigger because what Kev was showing in his videos was very disappointing.
It's an excellent movie.
So disappointing.
Well, it's all be a short discussion. As short as the length of the name of the game.
Yeah, he's having some wacky internet issues, so he may have gone and just tried to restart his router.
I said it earlier. I'm not kidding. When I saw his video, I thought somebody had sent him a demo copy, pre-production, not even finished. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Who published it?
Oh, who did that? I know Blue Panther printed it, but he's back. Okay, now Kev can tell us who did Sisu.
Red Sash.
Red Sash Games. That's it. Now it was printed through Blue Panther.
They got a 2.8 out of 10 on Board Game Geek.
It has a 2.8.
Has a 2.8.
I think that might have been me.
You can't get
the 0.8 was the charity because it's really not a good game.
2.8. No, you gave it a 2. So somebody else getting it a no. Yeah, you gave it a 2. And terrible counter layout and offset print, smudged ink on map, wrong charts in box, extra charts from some other random game. Gameplay ruined by inconsistent, unclear rules. One of the worst value for money buys in the last 5 years. Retails for $94. I got it on sale for $60 as a cobbled together parts game. It's a $30 folio game at best. And from what I saw from you, you're being extremely generous at $30. I would say that is $15 at maximum. You can get it when it's on half price on War Game Vault, $7.50 print and play. It is terribly bad.
That's a map. I thought you took a piece of white paper and had the neighbor kid draw lines on it.
Oh, you're funny. Well, it's blue on the other side, or the second map is blue, so it's a summer thing or something. There's a naval invasion or whatever. Yeah, it's just
the counters don't look good.
Oh, the counters are terrible.
Good.
They're brutal.
The map actually doesn't look bad when it's laid out and you've got the counters on it. When you actually you're physically with it, it doesn't look bad. The paper quality is pretty nice, but
that's because the counters look so bad. It takes the attention away from that.
Yeah,
is it a contour line map? Is that what it is? Like
that? They're supposed to be contour lines. Yeah. Not that the contours really matter very much, but they're there anyway.
It looks like one of those abstract paintings I've seen people do on YouTube. You know, where they take the paint can, they tie it to a string, and then they just let it swing back and forth across the paper. That's kind of what their map looks like.
Yeah.
No, what the map looks like is that Kev says, hey guys, I need a map drawn. Here's some crayons. I'm buying pizza for you guys if you draw me a map, and you and me did it in crayon. That's how bad it looks. It's like,
see, I really don't think it's that bad. It's bad, but it's
pretty awful.
The worst thing was it was smudgy. You know, the ink was smudged on the freaking thing. Like, who the fuck? Oh, who the heck does that?
But yeah, that was not a.
I mean, how does that even happen, right?
Yeah.
And the counter, you know, I think who told me? Maybe you told me, but. And this is not on Blue Panther. Blue Panther just prints what they're given.
Yes.
Is my understanding. Right. So they got those formatted counters the way they are. Everything offset to one side with the outlines for the counters and the outlines for the outside of the counters, all printed on the counters, so it looks like crap. And then half the counters have got, you know, numbers rolling off the sides, and it's just a shit show. And it's like everyone just said, yeah, the hell with this. Just put all this shit in a file, and we need charts. Only 2 charts. Oh, let's grab charts from this game and shove them in there as well. That'll be awesome. Okay, good. Whew. $94. Thanks for playing, sucker.
Yeah. And then the funniest thing I had mentioned at the beginning was I was watching on the TV. My wife came in and I was like, oh, she's going to make me want to change the thing. She didn't have me change it because she saw I was into watching this video you're doing on Sisu. And I'm sitting there shaking my head. Oh man, this is terrible. I didn't say anything to her. And I get up and I go to get a drink and I come back and she goes, you got to rewind it. You got to rewind it. Those counters are terrible. He was saying that this is a $90 game and you shouldn't spend $90 on it. She goes, the counters do look horrible. Even I can tell that, and I'm not a war gamer. She goes, you need to buy it and watch it again. I said, no, I already saw the counters earlier. And then she goes, you didn't buy this game, did you? I says, no, I didn't. I'm glad I dodged a bullet on that one. She's like, okay, good.
Reminds me of another game that we've seen in the past 6 months that had the same effect on me.
Which one?
Started with a and ended with a 2.
It started with a what?
A K and ended with a 2.
You're into mountain climbing, K2 Mountain?
Horse on Pocket 2.
Horse in Pocket 2.
Oh, you didn't like that, huh?
No, hold on, wait. Before you move on, I'm browsing their catalog here, and oh my god, all their games look like crap, and they're all expensive as hell. All right, so they got Cold Waves, the Atlantic and North Sea, 1739 to 1748, $340 box game for 5 paper maps and roughly 1,000 counters, and then player aids, and it does not look good.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah. They're a little. It's one or two guys in Canada who made this game series called the Lace Wars, which is operational conflicts in the post-medieval period or something like that, and it's they all link together so you can like do the whole of Europe, and there's 4 billion pieces and all these maps, and I've had 2 groups of friends play it 2 years in a row at a con, and they're tearing their hair out and screaming about the game, but they're kind of hooked on it and addicted. It's kind of like being kidnapped by a really hot Canadian woman, and you know she's going to keep you locked up in the cabin and bang the daylights out of you, but you know that you're never getting out alive. But you still stay. You don't try to escape. It's hilarious.
This is it right here. $94 box game, print and play, $15.
I got suckered. Yeah, but I didn't do arts and crafts, so
no. But I'm saying that's about maximum, and it should go on sale often for $7.50 because that just does not look good. You know.
Anyway, you know what? So I did play good things this month. I played.
I'm muted. That's why you can. Sorry.
A scenario. I played a scenario of the Killing Ground. That was good. Played Lock and Load. I played the Long Road. So I had 3 good matches, solo matches myself.
Come on, tanks with freaking werewolves
is awesome.
You gotta play it, dude.
You gotta play it. It's awesome, dude. It's a great game.
It's fun because you can play without the supernatural, but the supernatural it adds another layer completely, and
I'm buying into the whole paranormal thing with it. It's freaking awesome. People just need to let it go and just try it and just play it.
Have fun.
Yeah, and just have fun. It's good shit.
Because we played it, and you know we're fighting werewolves, zombies, and what else was it? Vampires there and stuff, and it was just fun because you know like I think it was you, Kevin, or was it you, Gimpy, that were just blowing these things up?
We all were.
I think we all were. Yeah.
No. Who was the? And we played it wrong though. And Mark is like, "Oh yeah, they blow up, and then these guys blow up, and then these guys blow up." But it was funny. We were sitting going,
"That was Kev got chewed up by the zombies."
Yeah, you just them blowing up one after the other. I was like, "Man, this is just something that you'd see on Sci-Fi Channel or something like that." Then you go, "My God, this is like a total guilty pleasure. It's like Sharknado. I can't turn my eyes away from it because it's bad, but it's good, but in a fun way." And this is not a bad game at all. I don't mean it in that regard, but it's just a really fun game. You turn off, and I love modern stuff. I love the whole hypothetical World War III, and it's got that. You can play that aspect only, but then you can add in the supernatural for fun and go, holy crap, this is actually a lot more fun than I expected.
Yep.
If you remember in our match, it was Kev that got beat up by most of the zombies at first.
Right.
And we start slamming into each other, and then Kev's down at the bottom of the map, just poking up every now and then and shooting one of us. Anytime we tried to poke around. The game was a blast, though.
Yeah,
it was fun. So yeah, shut up, Jeff.
It's
Königsberg, good game. If it's from Königsberg, from Revolution, if you've got, I will just say this as a blanket statement. When it comes to Revolution games, for the most part, if you want to get a good game, and you're looking at any Revolution game, don't hesitate. Their games are always on sale once or twice a year for a really good discount. The quality's great, and the quality of the gameplay itself is really good too. You can't lose.
Predator is the only one that I haven't dabbled in, but all their area. Well, Ranella did some of their area movement games.
That's his thing. He does all the area movement games. Yeah.
Help me remember a game. For some reason, I've been trying to think of this series, and I can't. It's a higher end game, monster type series, World War II, German tank battles. I can't remember the name of it. It's one I've been wanting to try for a while. I think it begins with a K.
Course in pocket now.
Oh, you're talking about Death Ride Kursk.
Death Ride Kursk. That's it.
Kev likes that. Kev, that's up your alley, right?
Shut up.
God, I've been trying to remember that for days.
Here's a good story about Death Ride. Long before I came into this market, Todd had sent Kev a game years and years ago. And then I don't know what the story was, but Kev sent it back to Todd. And then Todd sent it to me. So the thing is, like, Kev may have used it. I don't know. It got to me. So I punched it all that was there and clipped all the corners, put it back in the box. And then I was like, I tried to play it. I said, I'm not freaking playing this game. And then Kev pops up. Anybody got any games out, Death Ride games? I'm trying to collect them all before I get to get. So I sent the game to Kev.
So it got sent back to me. Yeah. It's currently in storage, and I actually bought a second module so I could link the two stupid things together for Salerno, for the landings at Salerno. And now, after playing some of the East Front stuff, I realized that I probably should burn both of them. I don't know.
Oh, is this going to become a video? Like,
no. It'll be a quiet burial, or I might just throw them in the pool.
I think you should sell them. Yeah, here's a good question. What happened to LNLP? They went silent. They have been quiet lately, but
they've got two coming. They've got two coming, right?
Yeah, they just did
war games. Yeah,
and they did their Harvest. That was a big release for them, which was excellent.
Yep. Excellent.
It has everything. It has the solitaire. It has the ability to turn it into miniatures if you want. It's got massive amount of maps, the X size and the regular size.
There you go.
Yeah, there's lock and load. And then they've got the blood. Was it Blood Fury?
Blood and Fury. Yeah.
Yeah, coming out for World War 85, and World War 85 is just phenomenal.
Yep.
Freaking excellent.
So they've got two more games coming out this year. Plus, I know they're talking about doing that. I don't know what that Wellington's like that card game or some sort of mini tactical game set around Hougoumont for Waterloo or something.
Oh yeah. They're little.
I would love to see more about that, but I think Devin's pissed off at me, so I don't get any access to stuff anymore.
That right now, but I couldn't get my hands on that one. It was nice for me.
John, you are absolutely right. 100%. Costco has become horrible. For the longest time, it was like $400 or $500 a month to feed the kids. Now every time we go to Costco, it's $700 or $800 to get out the damn door. It's easily double.
Well, your kids are growing up too, so they eat more.
They eat more, ding dong.
She keeps insisting that we got to feed them more than once a day, and I don't get this. One meal a day, period. Anything more than that, we're spoiling them.
Yeah, they gotta learn.
I'm down with that. Wait till they hit their teenage years, man. Your bill's gonna triple.
Well, I've got 3 girls, so I'm hoping that
bottomless pits. They'll still be
bottomless pits. They better like macaroni and potatoes and rice, because you want to fill them up on that stuff, bro.
Well, I do potatoes really well, and I love making fried rice, so I'm hoping they'll come around to that. Their guilty pleasure right now are those the cup of noodles, right? They freaking love those things. They go through like 2 boxes of them in a damn month, but that's like all the girls put together.
Now, this is a good point that John makes. Ketchup is a vegetable.
Right. Macaroni and cheese with ketchup, nothing better.
Go on, Jester?
No, not trying to get off topic here, but I actually
much.
much. Trying to pay attention to actually what's in the food, since I'm feeding it to the kids. And depending on what you get, like you'll look at the back of a ketchup bottle, and the first freaking ingredient should be tomatoes.
No, it's high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, right.
That's
And then a
that's
bunch
the
of
American food group.
So we switched and started paying attention to it. Got the organic ketchup that's tomato paste and vinegar and salt and pepper. And
Right.
unless I understand what the words mean, I'm not buying that shit anymore.
Yep.
I don't know if they have foods that will only put words on the back that you understand.
Shut up. Yes,
Well,
it is too much sugar.
Crayons.
Exactly, crayons.
I had a guy DoorDash to me a couple weeks back. Good, modest fella, little country boy. He showed up in here, and we got to talking about that. And I'm like, the food prices. It's just, and I'm a bachelor. Imagine that. I
like you. Shit.
I could see the pain in it, and we were talking about it. I said, man, he said, I can't imagine what a family is having to dish out to feed their kids. He said, yeah. He looked at me and he goes with a smile on his face. He said, try doing it with 6 kids. And I was like,
wow,
shit, dude. No wonder you're working DoorDash, and I felt bad. Maybe just made you feel about that big because
it's horrible.
There's always got to be one guy that comes in and says, no, tomato's not a vegetable, it's a fruit, which is true. But
it is true. But still, there's always that guy.
There's always that guy.
It's a fruit that I don't eat.
And tonight it's Mark G.
Jeff B says, I'm finally reading the expansion for Twilight 2000 RPG Urban Operations.
Awesome. Yes, I've read mine. That's great.
I haven't read mine. It's sitting around here somewhere.
They're about to release the next module that was in the Kickstarter
Black
expansion.
Swan or something or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought
And they're sticking with what they said during the Kickstarter too. They're giving
they're going to deliver it. Yeah,
which is going to be pretty awesome. Yes, that's pretty much everybody's opinion on that. Holy crap, 6 kids. And scientifically, they are a fruit, but culinary, they are a vegetable. So with that said, we have gone from war games and Zocbons to arts and crafts to Costco runs to fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables, and it's an hour it's an hour and a half.
Hey, Gimp, you got any Aliens Gale Force 9 videos up on your channel?
I do not, other than I have not shot any of those videos. I should shoot some, but I don't know. I just have a thing about shooting playthroughs because we've talked about this a little bit. Too many people bitch, moan, cry, and complain about this wasn't a good angle. You got this rule incorrect, or this should have happened, or that should have happened.
Bite it.
Yeah, and so that's one of the reasons why I don't do playthroughs. I don't have the time to put the effort into something like that and hear someone gripe. Because
which Aliens game were you talking about?
The one that Gale Force 9 made.
Another Glorious Day in the Corps.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah, I do have a video up on that.
Yeah, there's a sci-fi fantasy game that I want to play.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. I did the playthrough on the part of the movie where they're racing away in the APC.
Oh, okay.
Transmission, because it kind of goes along with the movie, right?
Right.
They go in, they fight aliens, they escape, and end up fighting the queen at the end, all that type shit. And all the other playthroughs I saw were showing the parts where they were going through on foot fighting aliens. And I'm like, okay, well, let me do the APC because people aren't doing that scene. Mm-hmm. The only problem is that mission is very easy because you have the APC. And you can squish the aliens and you can shoot them with the APC's guns or shoot out the door. And it made it a walk in the park versus how the game actually plays. The game itself was fun, though.
I need to find that. I really do. I keep saying it to myself, but I never really see it anywhere. Where
friggin' Miniature Market had it on sale.
Yeah, and they're redoing it again, I think. So that will be another thing to pick up. And we've said this before. We really need to find some time to do it. I mean, we spend a lot of time with 6 Days of Fallujah as a group, but we need to try to figure out a night where we can do Twilight 2000. Jeez, I had Twilight Struggle on the brain before.
Wow, I didn't know you were a Euro gamer.
No,
is that a game?
Or Twilight 2000. Yeah, it's an RPG.
Yeah, it's RPG. It's
that other one.
RPG.
That other one.
Yeah, that's a strategy game. It's a popular one, except with Cav, who burned it.
Do you cover a lot of miniature games?
No, I don't. No, I paint a little bit, but I don't. Unless I play with one of those guys, I don't play them. Hex encounters, that's my thing. Give me big maneuver areas to play with in big Civil War games, and I'm happy as a big boo.
There we go. That's my
Core
boy.
Space, my absolute favorite miniature game.
Nice.
Got to toss it out. I like a whole bunch, but Core Space is freaking
Zombie
awesome.
side.
I've got the zombie side.
Oh yeah. So
actually,
I played that. I played that live. Zombicide.
Zombie side.
Nice.
Zombicide.
Mini Warmut. That's his thing. His claim to fame.
nice.
I'm ready to try that. What's the one that's similar to BattleTech, but it's Star Wars, or not Star Wars, Star Trek? In the way the Federation Commander, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that one a little while back, so I'm gonna try that one out on the channel.
They've got that. They've got Federation Empire 2 is another popular one. So
No naval, no water, river crossings only.
what
You
is
don't like naval games?
I hate them.
Some black powder, or
And as far
Have you guys played the Oak and Iron, that miniatures game, Oak and Iron?
no, I want to. I need.
you're
that's
the
fun.
only one I've seen's got it.
Yeah,
What's
they
that?
actually sent it to me for free,
Nice.
like out of the blue. The whole
Why
thing.
would they send you that when you don't even play those?
because they want to expand their footprint by getting out to reviewers.
I set up some little little Jack.
And Kevin's.
Uh-oh. Pirates.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm the test play I'm doing, which I need to finish for Kev or Herman Lutman's game, The Miracle of Dunkirk.
Mhm.
I said that game is, that game's not up my alley. It's not my kind of game, but my God, I'm having a blast with that thing. I played it 5 or 6 times already, and I need to post some stuff on it. And I think they've got the rules right. I think it's done. I don't think they need to make any more adjustments to it.
Well, if it's a
Nice.
Lutman game, it should be pretty good.
There you go. And
I-
Will GM for Food says one of the reasons for joining the National Guard was to improve the realism of my Twilight 2000 game. That'll do it for you. And that'll do it for you, and that will do it for us. Everything we've covered tonight, and Kev's been having some continual issues, and we've got to go play some 6 Days of Fallujah, and hopefully he'll be able to get his connection reset before we do that. I'm sure that's probably what he's going to do now. But we appreciate all you guys from joining us tonight, and make sure you go over to Hex, subscribe if you've not already, and give Jeff some love, and check out all the great content that he has as one of the premier, Jeff Fry, the content developer guy, has out there. So
And look for the Whiskey Charlie Fire Team shoulder patches for your uniform soon.
there you go.
Don't forget about his second channel, his lesser known channel, where him and his buddy get together. A little Hex to Sex instead of Hex to Hex.
Hey, that's fancy.
That's the Sexy Hexy channel. And with that said, good night, everybody. We will see you